Alright, so this project is a little picture that I learned from a group called the Ceramic School. And I start by just throwing a kind of a gourd shape, I guess. And it's not gonna sit upright, but when I trim this piece, I trim it completely round. I don't do a foot, I don't do anything to keep it nice and level or flat. It's completely rounded here. Because this picture in the end is gonna sit somewhere like this. Okay, so now to get the shape, I always do this part first, but I'm gonna pat right on this little, what is essentially the corner. It's rounded, but I just take it like this and I try to keep it to where this spout, which is eventually will be the spout, I don't want it to be too low because then it won't hold anything and it loses most of its function. So I want to hold it somewhere about right there, and I'll start to pack it down. Okay, now I'm going to tilt it this way and just make sure it's nice and straight. And I just want to get it flat enough on this bottom or this angled side so that it's stable. Give it enough surface area or enough contact with the whatever it's sitting on, the shelf, the counter, whatever. And so this is a little bit between wet and leather hard. I mean, I can still flex the lip if I want to, but it's firm enough to where I can push on it slightly and it won't collapse. Okay, so that's about where I want it to sit for now. Okay, about right there. So now I'm going to cut out an opening up here. Okay, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to cut a stencil. So I take, just to get it symmetric, and you can get creative with this, but for the sake of the demo, I take a piece of paper, fold it in half. I take it about, say a little more than halfway down my bulb here. So a little bit more than halfway, so just slightly more than half there. So I'm gonna make a mark, and I know that's how tall I'm gonna make my cutout. Okay, so there. Now I'm gonna cut what will be the spout. And at first it's kind of guesswork. Later I'll refine it a little bit. So this, I'm going to start right at the corner because this will eventually come down to like a horseshoe, if you will. So I'll round this out. And this is just scrap, I can get rid of that. So then I would place this on here. If you're only going to use this once, you can spray it on there. It's a nice way to get it to hold still. Okay, something along those lines. Right there. Okay, you could cut it just straight up, but then you'd have to add the extra little curve at the end, and I just like to add it on early. So again, that was just a half cut out. Doubled over, gives you this shape. I have one already cut out that's a little bit more refined, a little less hasty. So I'm gonna just make sure that this one matches up to this particular clay project. So I think this one goes down a little too far. So I'm gonna cut a little bit more off. Then I'm going to take my X-Acto blade. So I want to make sure this is somewhat vertical on the top here. I'm going to take my X-Acto blade, get that as lined up with the lip as I possibly can, and I'm going to trace this. Okay, and I'll roll it over to the other side. Trace it again. put it back on there because I didn't finish my line here. Like so, that one's finished. So now I've got my lines marked. Okay, and those are always kind of rough lines. I like to get them as precise as possible. It only helps you later on down the line. So now I'm going to cut that. Okay, and I can feel how soft this clay is. I would like it a little firmer, but this will definitely work. Just be careful cutting towards yourself like I am right now. Especially if it's firmer clay, because you don't want it to just all of a sudden bust loose and cut yourself. Okay, so just that little snippet from my stencil, cut that out. I've got a little extra chunk, so I'm going to clean that up just a little bit. At this point, these walls are pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with them, but if they're a little thick, sometimes I'll take the X-Acto blade in here, or even outside, but I prefer inside, and I'll slice off a little bevel, like that, maybe even a little bit more. Sure. So I'm just looking at it this way. This side goes a little bit lower, so I'm going to cut this a little bit more. To get them somewhat even. Okay, now I'm going to take a sponge. Really clean these edges up. And I normally spend quite a bit of time on these. I round this off completely with my sponge. So I really spend a lot of time cleaning this portion of it up. So you can see the one side that I've just started to clean up and the side that's really rough work on the other. So I may clean these up quite a bit. I'm not gonna, just to save face and time, I'm not gonna do it all on camera. But I'll get the majority of it done later. But you get the idea. For now, I will post a picture in either the lesson plan or the comps, or maybe even on the YouTube comments, if I can. I know I've turned comments off. Teach high school, so not always the best comments, or the most appropriate. Okay, so that's mildly cleaned up. Get a little piece of clay out of the inside. So again, mildly cleaned up. I'll spend some more time on that, really get this cleaned out, this little reservoir here. But it's gonna sit like that. Now I'm gonna make a handle for it. You can do any number of handles. An upside down handle would work really well back here. A normal half heart kind of picture. You could do an overhang one that splits into two parts into one. I'm gonna do kind of a wavy, or like little asymmetric style handle. A little much. So this one will swing around, and this also, I like the aesthetic of it, but it also compensates for not having to get it perfectly straight, which I really like. As far as lined up with the spout and things like that, like I would normally worry about on a pitcher, not worry about, but focus on. Okay. So I got a nice little carrot coil. Flatten that out with my little wooden roller. This is just a wooden brayer for pressing stamps and ink press of some sort. Not exactly sure where I got it, I don't remember. So I could just do this flat, or I could take my thumb and make a nice little aesthetic line. I like to flatten out the edges at an angle. So I'll cut that at about a 45-degree angle. I'll cut a little rounded edge off of here. Slide this up. Okay. Now I got to do some flexing, so I'm not going to do it all at once. I want to do it slowly. So with this one, you can see there's not a whole lot of space to put the handle. So I kind of attach here, swing up and over right next to where the handle starts. Okay. So now I'm going to just kind of make a mock-up of it. Set that one there. I'll mark it. Maybe even a little higher. Yeah. Okay. So then I would score and slip this on. I really like to, especially with this little asymmetric handle that I would put on there, I like to put a button, like a little thumb tab. Like this. I like to put these on the top, and I aim it straight towards the middle of the pitcher. So when you're holding it, no matter what hand you are, you can push your thumb and apply pressure to pour it forward. So that is the cutout gourd pitcher. I don't know what to call it. I'll leave that to the ceramic school. So thank you for that. I appreciate the group.